Hi guys, Sean Darling here, and today we're going to be learning Dungeon Draft, so stick around.
Glory the games where tales come alive. Unleash your imagination and let it thrive. From ancient realms to futuristic domains, we bring adventure where heroes are made.
All right, guys, here we are in Dungeon Draft. The first thing we're going to see here is the dialogue for a new map. If you press the new button in the upper left, you can also open a map and so forth. But we're just going to select the template for a 55-inch TV, 48 tiles by 27 tiles. The reason why I picked this TV template is because my maps are going to be displayed on a TV as a virtual tabletop, basically, where you can use minifigs and stuff like that. And so I'm not going to start with the map wizard. I'm going to click disable wall shadow. That way it won't automatically put shadows around my walls and I can do those myself. Building where disabled. Yeah, because I kind of want to do that myself too. However, let's just turn it on by default. Or I'm sorry, we'll leave it off by default. Disable object shadow. Yeah, we're going to turn off all the shadows and do those ourselves. And if we have some asset packs, we can edit those here. I have a whole lot of them. But don't worry about that. You can get a lot online for free in different places or go buy them. A lot of places on Patreon, have them and stuff as well. Forgotten Adventures, that's a good one to check out for the first one you ever look at if you don't know about it. Forgotten Adventures, their packs are great. We're going to go right here to OK, and it's going to load all my assets, my default ones and my BaleWiki ones, right along with the rest of them, the Forgotten Adventures and so forth. I have quite a few, but you can start with none of those and still have a lot because the program actually comes with quite a few of its own. Okay, guys, here we are in Dungeon Draft. Now this version is Dungeon Draft 11.0.6. Okay, so we'll click out of there. Just, a couple things to navigate. This is your grid that you'll be building your map on. We're just going to hold down the middle mouse button here to pan around. To zoom, we're going to hold our control key and roll the scroll wheel. So pretty simple, pretty standard. Make sure you know about these things in the bottom, the grid being on or off. Snap being on or off. This one always throws me if I forget about it. You can have your lighting on or off, and yes, you can do lighting in here. So cool. We have the standard buttons across the top with the new open save, export. Export's good for when your map is done. You export it out as an image and all is good. These assets are a list. If you have them, you can click on that and they will come up here. What asset packs and things like that you have. I told you I have a few. Reload your mods, etc. Then there's an about section for everything. The menu is your standard one. You can open recent, you can save, change the map size once you already have one, which is really handy because sometimes I forget you can do this. Show the map info, preferences, edit your object tags, user folder. You can package custom assets, which is really cool if you make your own stuff. Now down the left, this is where all of your tools are that you're going to be using. The design tool, the terrain, objects, effects, settings, text, prefabs, and your select tool. Select is just really what you're going to be selecting, the layers. It's the layer it's going to go on. All this comes into play when you're building these maps. So multi-layered, which is really cool, gives you a lot of control. And let's just start here with the top. We have the building tool. Now the building tool, it's in the design tab. We can click on it and we get all of these cool tools here. You can pick the shape. This is a square, this is a circle, and this is like a polygon that you can, click and draw out. Once you complete the shape, you now have a building or a room with the walls and floor, that you can specify. Now, the reason why it has these walls is because we have this lit up here as the wall we're choosing, and we're choosing this floor here. If we were to pick this floor for it and draw a different room in whatever shape, you can see it will do the same wall with a different floor that you've selected. So it's really cool and handy that way. Now, I did that polygon shape. They have a heart to kind of show that whatever shape you want to draw. The circle, of course, is great for stuff like towers or oval rooms. And then the square, obviously, is going to be the one that you use the most because of the different rooms you're going to make, are usually rectangular or square. So if I were to pick, say, let's use this brick wall and that particular floor, or if you wanted to change the floor up to some tiles like these, you can do that. And see, now they join together because that's what the building tool is for making, you know, all these sections and whatnot. And you can see when you scroll in by holding down Control, we can make these large enough to see what's going on in here. And you have your walls as they were originally drawn, and now you have your hallway as you added it, and so forth. You can always go back in as well and change out your flooring by just clicking in an area and adding and, you know, grabbing the floor area here and going back into that polygon mode is how you would handle this, and just kind of come back here and draw that polygon kind of area out again where that, you know, essentially where that floor is going to be, and it will fill that in as best it can. So cool. That just kind of covers, you know, a little bit of what this is for. If you scroll down, depending upon what packs you have, you can have hundreds and hundreds of choices here of walls and whatever. I mean, you have definitely more and more choices for flooring, whatever you want. I mean, there's so many patterns, so many walls, and so forth. You have this little right at the bottom, if you can see it, beveled corners. That right now it's turned on, so we're going to get these nice beveled corners on the ends. They look really great. I usually leave that on, but if you don't leave that on, and let's say we're making a square room here, you can see just dragging it out, you're going to get these really sharp corners, which are pretty standard. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just more of a personal preference thing. I think when you draw them out, they tend to look a little nicer if they're beveled. But that is just me. And you can see as this wall, outside wall, was different and merged in with this other one, it changed all of the outside walls. Keep that in mind. So we can do that. We can also click right here. It says erase. So that's a matter of holding the Alt key down when you draw, and it will chop out an area that you are surrounding now. So you can actually go back and almost Boolean away sections of your place by clicking and dragging, and wherever it was surrounded while you were holding Alt is now erased or removed. So on the next part of this building tool, the shape, we can come down here to the wall tool. Now basically it's just going to affect the walls. So there's a couple things you're going to see here. At the top, this says sorting. So you can draw things over or under the layer you happen to be on. And you'll see that will definitely come into play when you use things like shadows and stuff like that. But let's just keep this on under, I guess, for the moment. And there's a wall tool here. Well, there's walls selections. Let's just pick one of these, like here's this wall, and it'll show you a preview up at the top of your screen of what that's going to look like. You can see as I change, we're going to pick that one, and it's got that kind of railing look. And if you were to draw this here, and right click, you're going to get this happening here. You notice though, it goes under the previous wall because we have this sorted on under, which this works really well when you're drawing inside of a room and you have outside kind of walls. The reason being, if you had a chair or table or a wall like this and you didn't want it to lay on the top of this, you want it to look like it's inside the room, possibly connecting to the wall or even under this little wooden edge or something, you would want that to be on under. Now you can come back here too on edit points. If you go up here to this and click on to where it's blue, you can now hover over your wall that you created, and you can add and move points. Right now they're hard to move because we have snap turned on. Remember we told you about that earlier. Turn off snap, go over here and click and drag, and now look at this. You can snake that wall around 50 different ways, however you need to, and add as many points as you need to. You can get silly with it if you want, and it still all works. So that's just something to remember. That exists as well. And now, if we go here to shadow, right now it's off. If we turn it on and draw a wall, let's just draw this one here, and you'll see the difference between the walls that we have and the walls that we don't yet. To draw a wall, you're going to have to turn off edit points first. And then now when we draw a wall with that shadow turned on, we let go and right click, you'll see the wall, but there'll be this hard edge sort of shadow that appears by default. You can see. I don't really like that because it does double up on itself and so on. There are times you can use it, but I don't care for it. If we click on over and draw a wall now, you can see this wall goes over this wall, and this wall now goes over or under this, over this wall, and that makes this wall under that one. So there are times to use the over and under sorting as well. So I like to keep the shadows turned off. Let's go ahead and start a new map. Just gonna go new, discard what we've got. Sure, leave it the same that it is in. We'll say okay, it'll throw us a new one here real quick. And there we are. So now, back here in the design tab, and now we're gonna go into the portal tool. Now this is just basically a bunch of different doors and windows. So if we made a wall, let's go back up to the wall tool. We're just gonna draw a wall right here, like so. Don't forget to right click. And once we have our wall laid out, we can add a portal here in the portal tool. And we can have that to be able to block light, which we will want most of the time. You could go anchored or freestanding. Now freestanding means you can put a door or window wherever you want. That may be for any number of reasons, but anchored is the choice you're probably going to use the most because it's going to actually place it within a wall or wherever, where a window or door could go. Right now we have a door selected, a basic door, and you can see, you can't see it until I hover over a wall. Then when I find out where I want it, I can just put it there. Now granted, that clicked right onto a snapping point, which a lot of times you're going to want too, but if you didn't and you just turn off snapping and you can put that door or window exactly where you want, let's say right there, and it'll go exactly there and you're good to go. So that's a window. There are so many different kinds. This was a portcullis here. You can see how that looks. If I scroll down to some other stuff, we've got like stone doors, like this guy here. And you can place these, like I said, if you don't want to snap it, you can place them right where you want. Say right between two pillars like that, or two stone, blocks. Come down here. There's bigger doors and smaller doors that we can use. Metal doors, arrow slits, all kinds of great stuff. Here's a windowsill, wooden ashen. So basically it's a window with a wooden ashen shelf at the bottom of the window. And this would be representative of, say, either a stone or iron rod coming through the middle and the wooden sides of the window. So you get the idea. So that is basically the portal tool. Below that we have a cave brush. This is really cool. I'll just go ahead and pull out here. Just ignore this wall because it's not necessary right now. Now for a cave brush, we can pick the size of the brush. I'm just going to use a larger one to start with. You can choose your ground color. I'm just going to leave it at the default, and wall color. And I don't think it's coming up because there's nothing created yet, but we can dig caves, we can blast open areas, and we can show the blast open area, etc. So here's the styles. Right now we have these two here, but I'm just going to take the brush and drag, and you can see this is where this cave has now been drawn. It aligns the walls with rocks and looks really great. If we want now, we can go down to this other style, and it immediately changes that over. I tend to like this one a bit better. So if we wanted to make a little cave or a little tunnel coming out of that cave, you can. You can also scroll your mouse wheel and make your brush smaller or bigger. If I take a small little brush here and just make like a little tiny secret passage in here, then we have that as well, you know, and you can widen that out if you want, and so forth. So it's a really cool handy tool, and the brush, the cave brush, is one of my favorite things. You can also come in here, there's a little plus next to this, and you can change the color of the wall, and except you have to switch those out. So this color here can obviously be changed. We're using really green walls with yellow ground color. We can go back to the brown, and we can go back to the brown here, or the gray, and you get the idea. Okay, the blast open, we're going to click on that and then just come over here to an area. Let's take our large brush and just pick this side wall here and click it. And it will actually kill the wall there, to where now we can either come out here onto the terrain, or we could build a room that goes into a cave, you know, like you would have wanted to. And this just shows like the blasted open area that you can turn this on or off to show. And there you have it. So if you want to make caves, this is the way to do it. So now that right below that, we have the pattern shape tool. And now the pattern shape tool is going to give us the same sort of shapes and stuff as the wall tool did. You know, we can create a rectangle, but that's not going to create any walls on it. It's just going to be the flat pattern, mostly on the ground. But ground, roof, whatever, it depends on what layer you put it on, and it depends on what you're trying to do for your map. Remember, this is all just going to be printed out like a drawing anyway. So you can adjust the rotation of it as it's going down. There you go. You can adjust that every time, and it can be different there. Let's go ahead and put this back to 0. Let's see if it will do it with the number. There we go. And now that when we draw it, it's going to be perfectly straight. You can do it with the circle, of course, the same way. And of course, your crazy whatever shape you want polygons here. And you're good to go. So this now below it will give you this layer system. That's also going to be on, I believe, the building tool, the wall tool. But you get this layer system. Anytime this pops up, you can open it and decide what layer you want this stuff to be on. So this will become more evident and explainable once we get a little farther into this. But a lot of things go on layer 1, and you know, that are background, like flooring and whatnot. Layer 2, I can throw on my shadows, you know, over under a wall. You can put furniture on layer 3. That's, you know, the things that are actually gonna be sitting on stuff, or sitting on the ground. And then layer 4, you can use stuff like lanterns and maps that go on top of the tables and whatnot. Above walls, this could be like beams that go across. This could be anything that is above the edge of the wall, above the room and the walls. And above roofs, this can be stuff you put on above a roof, like, you know, chimney or whatever. I mean, there's 100,000 things you could be using here. So you decide where you want this, what layer you want it on, and put it there like so. Like if you did one below water, a good example is you put some water in there and you want the ground to be rocky underneath the water. You could do that. So you get the idea. There's still a whole bunch of bunches and bunches of patterns here to use. Like anything else, this can be used as flooring. This can be used as all kinds of stuff that whatever it is you want or need to use it for. Just so you know, you can actually go back in and edit these points just like you can in the wall tool and the room tool. Okay, so let's go down here now to the roof tool, and you have options in here as well. The quick, box, and manual roofs, so you can just click and drag these things. If you click and drag and turn, you can turn it around. If you click now and do another drag, you can actually shape the roof in more of a line, like so. And then when you're done, you right click, making sure you don't have that ugly roof that I just did. Okay, well, let's clear this out and make another map here to show you the rest of the stuff. Okay, and it clears it out and generates a new map pretty quickly. Once again, we're still just in the design tab, and we are here in the roof tool. So like I said, you have quick box and you have manual. So quick box, we're basically going to get a box that a roof is made inside of. If we do it this way, it's most likely going to be that way. And you can see the width and the length make a difference as to what direction that roof may be created at. Now let's get rid of those. So you can create a dormer window, dormer roof like so. And you can create a gabled roof. This hip that has this nice four-sided. The dormer, of course, like that, pops out the side of wherever you need it. The style, this is just going to be basically the tiling. What kind of tiles are going to be when you're creating these things. And you can change the sun direction down here, which is pretty nice to see, which side the sun's supposed to be on, casting the shadow on which side of the roof. So that's a great addition. Plus you can turn up and down the contrast of that to see it better. So that's all pretty quick and easy. Figure out what you want, make it. We're gonna go back here now down into the next one, and this is the terrain tool. Let's start a new document, and what we're doing in here. All right, and in here, this is gonna be the terrain tab. And in here, first off, we have the terrain brush. When we click on it, we have these options. So it is enabled. This is our brush size that we can slide up and down. The intensity of it, the biome. So we can pick the biome here, meaning essentially the type of environment. So we can have barren, desert, mountain, prairie, rainforest, settlement, and swamp. Settlement's what it's on right now. That's why I have this brown dirt on the ground. If we do rainforest, we're going to have much more green, etc. And it's going to give you these 4 terrains that you can paint with. And if you do need another one, it will actually unlock 4 more if you really need it, but it does reduce the performance. So rainforest, barren, which is always cool, desert looks like desert, and so on. But let's go back to settlement. This is what you'll be used to seeing until you change it. Now let's just take the fact that we have terrain dirt. We're going to click on that one and drag our mouse. Nothing happens because it's the same color as we're painting with. If we go to terrain gravel, check this out. It creates gravel wherever we paint, and so that's a really cool one. The terrain sand, so we can do the same thing, but now we're using sand. Just be careful. Most of the time I will go in with a stylus or something on my monitor and paint some of this in. And then of course snow, we'll just put a little bit of that around, and this is always cool because you always have adventures where you wind up in, places unexpected. Now check this out. If I go back and use the terrain gravel, and I take my intensity way down, and I paint it back over the top here, you can see we get a little bit of gravel if we wanted. You can also change your brush size, so we can come here and just put gravel on the edges maybe. You can also take it and fill everything with whatever you're on. If you want it all to be gravel, hit that, and so on and so on. So back to terrain dirt. And this is something we didn't have. You were wondering when I did that, well, that looks like crap. I mean, let me show you what I mean. A little bit bigger brush and a little bit more intensity. And you're like brushing along, you're like, well, that looks pretty crappy. I don't think I like that. And it's okay for a map, but it's not great. Well, if you take this smooth blending here, look at that. Now you've got a nice sand path that blends in with your surroundings. And if you did take your gravel now and throw that in here, it really helps that feel a lot more realistic and just blends it over a lot better. And you can even take your brush size way up, turn your intensity way down now, and as you come in, look at that, it's just faded rocks under that sand. If you got it too heavy, of course you could bring your your sand back in and just lighten that up a little bit. and everything kind of fades away nicely. Perfect. Snow works the same way. So if you wanted to, like I said, you needed more choices here, you could always unlock 4 more slots, and now you can add some moss over here at the same time. You know, you can take your brush size, your intensity, bring that down, and you can adjust, even on the smooth blending. You want to leave that on, but you can adjust intensity, brush size, and everything else for this as you go. So there we go. That is our terrain brush. So now we're going to jump down here to the water brush. And this one is really sweet. So there's a few different things to keep in mind. You can use the blending for it as well. You can disable or enable the border, which is cool. If you like old school maps, leaving this one off is really cool. But we can also, once again, pick all of our shapes of square, whatever you want here. I tend to just like to use the brush itself. So I just click on one of these brushes I want to use for the water. The watercolors are great. You can change them as needed. But we'll just leave the border, we'll disable the border for now to kind of give you an idea. There's our water. You can blend this more and that's the blend between the colors. So you guys know, you have the deep water and the less water. But if you want the old school vibe, look at that. Just turn that off and paint that in, and you have your nice water feature. I love this look, personally. You can tell I get excited about it. Okay, so there's our water brush. Now let's go ahead to the material brush. Now, this one throws me a bit because it's a bit basic in my opinion. Not really sure that I use it so much, but you can see it's a paintable material. You can use it for different things. It comes with the outlines. It can be used for like hedges and grass. The grass is a little too bright for me. You can turn on smoothing and you'll get a smoother look out of all of it. Of course, things like gravel and so on, and little brick walled areas or whatever you want to use it for. You can of course set the level that this is on. You can use this as a background, which most people do. Move to front, you can turn that on, so you get the idea. If you have some, a lava pool, you can throw that in there. And for the most part, that's pretty much it for that. And now we'll move on here to path tool. Now the path tool is really cool because you can make a path with a lot of brushes. A lot of things can use the path functionality to make an object or terrain or whatever exists. So we're just going to leave these set here. You can edit points just like you can with the wall tool. Move them around as needed, which is good. You go back and edit them after the fact. You can do the over and under just like the wall tool and the others as well. The width of the path and the smoothness of it. You can use this to block light, which is really handy if you're creating walls or something with it. Transition in and out. This either makes it fade in at the end or taper in and taper out, depending upon if it's the end or the beginning. So let's just try this. I have a blood streak up here, a blood trail. This came in one of the packs, but you have multiples in your own stuff too. And basically you'll just come in here and draw, kind of where you want this. So click point, click point, click point, click point. So let's say a body has been dragged through somewhere and you want your players to follow the path to where that is. Now you have a blood trail. And this doesn't have any of these special things turned on. So I'm going to go back here and say fade in the beginning and fade in the end, so you get an idea what that is about. So now you can see it fades in the beginning and end. Looks much more natural. You can also do the grow and shrink in the beginning and end. That way it'll basically pinch off from the beginning to the end. And that is it for the path tool. However, one of the major things the path tool is used for is shadows. This is the way I like to create my shadows. This is why I turned off all the shadows in the beginning. Once again, you can use it for anything, rope, whatever you want. You can go back and move that after the fact. But let's find our shadows. I'm just going to scroll down. I have all these all these crazy brushes, so just don't pay attention to them until you get some of those. But there should be a category standard in the program of shadows. And basically, I'm just going to take this shadow path 60, and it's going to basically create a shadow where I start it and stop it. Now, this is very dark. I'm just going to, but hey, use your own judgment on that. I'm just going to take it. I'm going to increase the width maybe a little, leave the smoothness on. I'll show you about lights later. But I'm going to take this and we're going to draw under, and we're going to make a path, basically, and I guess I'm still over here, but we're going to make a shadow, if you can see, right around this little pool here. And now it looks like it's possibly, above the ground with a shadow casting under it. I will show you this with the wall tool, because it is the best use case scenario for it. We'll go back to the building tool here, the wall tool here. I'm just going to grab the standard wall, and let's go with over, just in case that will work. And I'm just going to create a wall that goes like this and like this. Okay, so we have a wall. Very boring because there is no shadow. Now, if I do go and get an object here, or a path, we're going to go down to the second here, and we're going to go down to the path tool, and right now it's on below water. I believe that will work. We're going to use under either way, and we're going to create a shadow. I'm just going to put this mid-range so you can see it at least, and I'm just going to draw it in the center of the wall all the way down here. I'm going to make a not so good turn there. And once I get to the end, you'll see now this wall is shadowed on both sides, as if it's, got ambient occlusion or something applied to it. We're going to undo that real quick and try an even lighter one. And I'll just narrow the path a little bit. And you can see doing it this way. That's a little too narrow. Let's undo, widen it out just a little bit more. And you can see, though, with that light, lighter, and that's the way you make a good corner, with that lighter shadow, how good that looks in comparison to none at all, as you can see here. So shadows are amazing. I highly suggest using them. The path tool can be used for so many things, though. Roads, I don't even know what this is. And if you make it wide enough to actually see what you're doing, and you're zoomed in far enough to see what you're doing. So many great things. So that's a carpet rim. There's all kinds of trims. There's like stone, that you can do on the edge of a piece of land. And then you can go and put grass up here using your, like your terrain tool that you were using before, like this some of these pattern shape tools and whatnot. This could be the edge of some more of that cave stuff happening there, and this will be just fine, like right that way. If you do it under, not over, all that order does make a difference. But I hope you're getting kind of what I'm putting down here. Let's try a new document again, and we can clear this out. Okay, here we are. So that is the path tool. We'll get into this block light stuff with all these things in a bit. So now we're going to move to the objects tool. Now this is where all your cool items live. So just using what we've already learned with my walls, I believe being about 5 feet per grid square, let's go ahead and just make a quick layout of some rooms here, just for the heck of it, giving you an idea what this could be like. I'm just going to make a small sort of hallway that can, and you see how easy this is to edit, I hope. And this one can maybe come out here to that one. This, of course, has an interesting twist and turn. Maybe this one comes here. Who knows? That's probably too easy to get through. Okay, let's just say this is what we've got. So what would we do next? Well, we've got our floors. Let's just change some of those around. So this one definitely should have a different floor, right? Right. And then this one could have this floor here. That would be great. Maybe this one has a wood floor here like that. And maybe this one has a really elaborate, weird, tiled room like that. And then of course you can go in and change all of your paths, hallways, and whatnot into whatever you think they should be. And let's say that's like so. At any rate, we're good to go there. If we were to come down and now throw in some doors, here we go. Let's just throw in a few standard doors. I'll zoom in here and turn on our snap. We're good there. And just drop in. Now see, you cannot just stick a door here because there's no wall. We would have to go back into our wall tool and just drag a wall across that. And now another one here. And this way, and I'm just using this as an example, this way you can add a door, but you first have to have a wall that door is embedded in or can go through. So once that's done, we get this one here. Let's just throw them on all of them. Heck with it. Now we go to our door tool, find the door of choice, drop it where we want. Let's just put a few of the same here to make this easier for the moment, just for the purposes of our video. That looks great. Large wooden door. Now this one's huge. You can see that's a big old door there. But you want to use, some standard size doors because, if that's the standard size hallways that you have, do that. And you see we have a pretty decent little dungeon already. And with the cave tool, I'm not going to get into it just, well, let's do it. Who am I kidding? We're going to throw in a little bit of caviness. Let's just say right here where this giant door is, let's say behind it, there's some caves, or at least a cavern. And that this cavern might run through this area here, in a real tight squeeze kind of place to some other back room right there. Cool. Now, this opens right from the room now. It automatically blasted a hole for us, which is good. Killed the door. I think we can put a door back if we wanted to. Not real 1000% sure on it, but let's test that theory. That's a single size door, so we need a large door at the very least. I don't think it will allow it because there is nothing really for it to go on because that's supposed to be broken out. Not a problem. Let's just leave it like it is. Things you need to think about while you're doing stuff. So let's go ahead and use our water brush real quick and just throw in a little bit of water in here. We'll use the brush. That's a little big. Let's just grab a smaller one and say there's a little pool of water just inside the end here. Maybe something is going to be. If you look closely, this water is animated. You can see that little bit of turbulence that's going on there. Very cool. And that's by default. So let's just go ahead and get out of here. There's a material brush again. The path tool is what we're looking for though. I'm not going to do all the walls. You can see the rock walls already have sort of a shadow to them. I'm going to do a few to give you a good, idea of what this would be like. So I'm just going to come down here until we find our little shadow paths. I'm going to use, let's just use the dark one. It's easier to see on YouTube. Now it does matter if you're using a shadow that's one-sided or two-sided. I'm going to use a one-sided just to give you an idea of that now. And if you use a one-sided, the direction you go with it does matter. So if I go back this way, you can see the shadow is now on the other side. So if I'm going to go and put a shadow on this side of the wall up here, I need to go from left to right. And now you can see there's a shadow. The same thing here, left to right. And if you want to end, I suggest that on inside corners, left to right, and right click to end, and up here, left to right. Cool. So that's done. You can really see the amount of personality and so forth that it really gives doing this. And you can see on the inside corners, I always break it and bring it back up and break and across now, break. On the outside corners though, you can let them bend around. So that's how I suggest doing that. And this needs to go from bottom to top, and right click to break that. So you get the idea. There's some nice shadows here. And I just wanted you to get to this point so we can explain the next thing. So the path tool, and then the objects tab here. So the object tool, it's the third button down. We're going to click on object, and now you have, the settings for what layer you want these things on. We're going to take these and put these on layer 2 to be safe and to be above, all of this. Over and under, you have that option again, the rotation as you put things down, the scale of it, and you have a bunch of tags and stuff you can put for this kind of stuff as well. But what's really cool is you can come over here to the library, and anything you want that you can't, because I have thousands and thousands of things. If I wanted to put in something here, you can type right in this search box. I can say table and enter. It'll bring up all my tables. And I have a lot. There's a lot of tables. But if I were to take one round table and throw it in this room right here, there's a table. And there's another table. And you can rotate your scroll wheel and get it set where you want, and either click or click away. And or right click, I mean. And that's good. We can come down here to other things. You have all kinds of, like, I don't know, maps, trash, all kinds of stuff to look. There's a table here with a whole bunch of food on it, and it just depends. Go find libraries, like I said, look up BaleWiki, look up Forgotten Adventures, and go on their Patreon page, and you'll find so many things. But the program comes with tons and tons of stuff already, so you can use that. Like I said, there's just tons and tons of stuff. There's a knife and fork right there set up. And if you are on something you don't want to be on it, just click on the select button. That way you can click on something and size it up, change it, whatever, delete it. And now we have, the table setting ready to go here. And if for some reason, you put something on here and it winds up underneath, you can always take the layer, and change what layer it's on. And it helps a lot. So you can turn the shadows on or off for these things. This is a little better to turn a shadow on for, because it's so small, it'd be really kind of hard to do that yourself. But if we were to go back now to the path tool again, right here, and down to path tool, it takes a minute to find this stuff and to be familiar with it. But once you do it, it's great. And we can go back over here now and find, I don't know, this shadow path again. Now watch, we are on layer 1, so it's going to put it under the table for us. Let me just scroll in and turn off our snapping. And I'm going to go the direction. There we go, because if I went this way, the shadow would be backwards. So I'm just going to trace around the table, just inside the edge, so that we get a shadow around the table. Now you can move in and out to control that angle. So right as you get to the end, be real careful and just kind of adjust around until, I don't know, you get something pretty close to where it's not going to have a horrible, ugly overlap, I guess. So good enough. You're going to have a little bit. Either way, that's one way to do it. You could also take that off, and let's say the light's coming from your left side. So we're going to make the shadow really over here. And as you get around to this side of the table, just start cutting across the middle of the table. And you'll see the shadow is only prominent on this side. So, oops, and I got that off again. But you get the idea. That's really, can be really handy. Now there is the option to paint the shadow. And it's a different method that I'll have to show you, but that involves like painting material, I believe. So that's one thing you can do. Anyway, with the objects tool, like I said, you just come in here, you pick an object, you throw it down wherever you want, and you're good to go. There are so many things I could teach about the best ways to use things and what should be put where, and in what order and all that kind of stuff, but you get the idea. I mean, there's so many things too, like these top view down ale mugs, you know, is a great addition there. So you get the idea. Over and unders though, rotation, scale, shadows, you know, on. If I want to now put this on there, with this one has a shadow, you can see the difference between the one with the shadow and without. It's very subtle. Cool. So there's custom colors of stuff, like if I wanted to make this, you know, more of a, if it had a custom color I could select, I'll show you what I mean. If we pick an object that has options like that, some of them don't. I don't know if tables necessarily do. I'm just going to pick here. Here is a green jug. I can go here and say custom color, make that a yellowish jug, and there you go, broken on the floor. Done. So you see, there's so much stuff, and that's just, you know, me picking a table and looking through, you know, what we possibly could have. So another thing I'd like to show you guys, let's go ahead and look up a torch and just kind of throw that on the wall. So let me just find a torch. We're just going to scroll through until I find something usable. Yeah, let's see, a top-down kind of thing like this. I'm going to scroll over to her next to a wall, and we just move it around until we get a torch here. Maybe even throw another one here. Let's be crazy then and zoom out using our control and scroll wheel. And let's just kind of throw, I don't know, one here and one here for the heck of it. Let's just stop there. Okay, cool. So another thing we can do while we're waiting on that grand idea is just find any old object. I'm just going to pick anything from my list here. I'm just going to click on all and just kind of scroll until I find, I don't know, something that can be done. Let's use this. I'm going to make it much smaller. We'll take scale and just go way down with it. And we're going to go over here to our scatter tool. And once again, take our scaling of that probably down. So we're on scatter. We have use layer. So we pick layer 1. We're going to do over. We can rotate it. We can take the scale quite a lot down. And this gives you 2 scales. So it's basically going to be the smallest one and the largest one, however, you know, that needs to be. And you can see when I start dragging around, it's basically painting them out here on my canvas. So if you increase or decrease the spread, you get less in a certain amount of space. You make it less, and now they put them together much closer. So you can start scattering things around. This could be for plants. It could be for, you know, coins on the floor. I mean, all kinds of stuff. So, and this is going to give us a range of size, rotation, and the spread of, you know, how many you want in a certain area. I like them pretty low so that it kind of spreads them around a lot more, but you get the idea. So that's another thing. So let's go ahead and go back now, and we're going to now go into the effects. Now we have the environment. The environment is basically going to be our ambient light. So we can have darkness, we can have most of the things with a red glow, cast, light, and that's pretty simple and self-explanatory. The next one down though here is the light tool. And if you notice, everywhere I move my cursor, there is a light. Naturally, just the way that the program functions, everywhere there is a wall, it is blocking the light. You see the light's not going out. If I go outside the wall, there's no light going inside through that wall. So that's really handy that is like this. Look at this, the light in the hallway, snake around. It's just a natural way that the hallways, walls, everything in here work. There's different styles of lights. You can pick a more broken up dappled light that can be underneath some trees. You can say that this goes where it goes, what color the light is, the intensity of it, and so forth. I really like this kind of smoother light myself, although these look very cool and animated and hand-drawn. If I click my light onto, say, that torch, it's going to leave it there, and I can adjust my light intensity here, and I can adjust the range, meaning the size of that light there. The color, I personally like to bring down to a bit of an orange. It's just a favorite way of doing it myself. But I'm going to show you something in combination here in a second. I'm going to throw in a few lights here. Just put one kind of at each torch area. And now if I go back to this environment tab and take my ambient light and just bring it way down, the lights still show because they are lights. I find that to be amazing. Okay, so there we go. Now we're going to go back to our little light tool here. You can see how cool you could make things. I mean, light the hallway up, you know, whatever you need to do to make this work. So there's our little widgets. You can see how far that casts. You can turn those off or on, but you get the idea. And if we wanted to, we can come here and paint shadows around these tables, you know, and make them in the right direction based on where the torch light is and so on. So cool. Let's get out of the light tool and go back. And we're going to come down here now to our map settings, level settings. These are all the things that you would want to use to set your map up. You know, how much dirt, grime, and whatever. You can use filters to, you know, make your and set your grid color and make your maps look a certain way. So there's a sepia filter, you know, printer friendly, which is black and white, none. So buildingware, we can have none, dust, grime, noise, all of this stuff could just kind of have a nice effect on the overall look of things. So you get the idea. And so this dashes, dotted, narrow lines for the grid, anything that you want. I personally typically use the thick line. That's just me. So we have our level settings, which, you know, levels, ground, etc. We can create new levels. This means above and below the like ground, like you can have level 1, floor 1, floor 2. We can use a tracing image underneath it all to create your map from. I believe you can actually export it with the tracing image, but I'm not sure. And then now you can do cool things like text. So depending upon what fonts you have, but a lot of these are ones they want you to use in the program. Let's just take this Aladdin font, and I'm going to make this font sort of whitish, brownish, kind of like so. We accept, and then now we can just type right here, my map. Very original. And you know, you can put this anywhere you want, make it any size you want, and so on. We can change the color again, you know, to whatever you need. And that's good to go. You can sharpen the fonts. They become a little blurry if you don't have that on. Pick the font that you like. A lot of the time I will use this medieval one is really good. There are others, but I think that medieval one's one of my favorites. I think this Libre Baskerville is nice. And there you go. So pretty simple. You can use the text box as well and change the colors of that. And that way you can label your map, you know, 1, 2, 3, whatever areas that you need. And then next we have our prefabs. These are just examples really of prefabricated collections of objects to make something. So you can use this like crate, you know, a whole bunch of crates stuck together there, if you can see. There's a fallen tree, and these are things that you can create yourself using certain software, Photoshop or whatever, but they are handy. You know, this market set, it's an entire grouping of stuff, and then of course you can come in here and move it around. And so there we go. That is the basic standard setup for doing this. The lighting is fantastic. I love that kind of thing. And I can show you guys more tutorials on how to use it coming up. But that is the basic functionality of the program. So what you would do next when you were done with your lovely map is just go over here. Well, you want to save it, but you would also go to export. And right in here, you just leave your grid off and on, your lighting on or off. All of this brightness, the focus, overall, overlay level, the filtering if you want a filter on it, like we looked at before, the sepia. And then once you're done, you export and it just goes through a process after you select the size you want. So I hope you guys got a lot out of this and understood essentially how it works. We're going to be doing videos on making specific maps and doing specific things within here, but this is just the overview and overall idea of the program. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments, like and subscribe, and talk to you guys later. All right, guys, thanks for watching. That was a lot of fun, and I hope you learned a lot. And come back because we're going to be doing a lot more Dungeon Draft tutorials in the future. Thanks for watching.